Hey everyone, this here is the LEGO Marvel Gargantos Showdown set. This is kind of an easy set to cover because it just comes with the main tentacle monster thing, which has been renamed from the original canon due to a copyright claim in real life that was actually successful. But then you get the 3 figures there, which I'll look at all at one time. So I'm just going to move the figures out of the way for the moment and focus on the main thing that you're really paying for here. Although, you know, minifig collectors may go for the set for the figures themselves, which are not bad. But this is not bad either. I could easily get tired of tentacle monsters in the Marvel universe. And I personally kind of have, but this is definitely the most well-produced, well-designed one that LEGO has done. It's the largest, but it's interesting. It gives you tons and tons of posing capabilities, of course, with all of the Technic pin-based joints and also just bar-based joints, and also ball joints in this whole thing. So all these things can be moved around. And the most important thing to me is the fact that these down here are attached straight in securely from underneath. And there's no way, well, put it this way, it's very, very difficult to make this not stand up, to make this not stable. So I can move some of this stuff around to randomize it a little bit, but still when I put it down, it's going to stand up, and it's going to stand up off the ground as well, which is cool. It makes it look more like it's really walking around. You know, a lot of times when you get things that have a lot of arms or legs from LEGO, it doesn't really look like they're able to be in a walking pose, or it's very difficult to get them into a walking or standing kind of pose. This thing, of course, is going to be able to float around, I'm sure. But, you know, I don't have to specifically pose arms into a position where, or legs, whatever they are, you know, tentacles, into a position to make this work. But you can if you want to, and then there's plenty of options beyond that. But anytime you also want to, you can just have these like reaching out to the front. Like, it just works. Look at that. It's like a proper reaching kind of pose. And look at that. Look at that. You can get in real close for fine manipulations with the ends of these. Not a fan of the subject matter, generally speaking, or the style of subject matter. I'm not a Lovecraftian fan myself, but again, this is done well. The number of different things you can do with it, the number of different looks that you can get out of this is impressive. I can bring these forward as well to make it look more like it's focusing all of its attention fully forward. These, let's see, is there anything I can do here? I think these would probably want to go, oh, nope, that's past, I went past the edge. I'm trying to be rough with it. Maybe I can have these, yeah, I can have them down here, looking like they're providing a little bit of support. So now everything is pointing forward. That's interesting, and it's very dynamic. It's very dynamic. There's a lot that you can get out of this, and I like that. I appreciate that. It almost looks like this would have been designed with a light brick inside the eye, but it's not, and that's fine. This is print, a print, right there on the front for the center of it. There's actually a little bit more to that print than meets the eye, because around the iris there, I forget the names, but there's red print on top of the trans orange. It's just really difficult to see, almost impossible to see from most angles unless you really, really, really get in there close. So a lot of that printing is unfortunately missed or lost, you know, kind of wasted. But for what it is, I think it still ends up looking fine. And also, this is, I think, the first time we've gotten this relatively new piece. Same piece was used as the topper for the Harry Potter Icons potions, which I love. I love the piece. I love that set as well. But I think it's the first time we've gotten that in the trans yellow, which is going to be super useful. And the top of the eye and the bottom of the eye are both shaped in really nicely with the lids there. You also have this kind of mouth area in here, which can be moved around. Right now, I've got all these inner tentacles kind of twisted up like you're supposed to, but you can kind of open that stuff up if you want to make it look like it's going to, you know, try to bring something in there. Or you can grab something, like you can grab a minifigure amongst all of these as well. I'm just going to try to get these tied back up like so. Yeah, it's not particularly frustrating even to mess with all this weird stuff that's all around, which is good. However, that does bring me back to what has been covered very, very, very extensively by now. There are two illegal connections in here, like clearly illegal connections. The parts simply do not fit together. You can even see right now, there are little gaps underneath there. There's a gap right there. And if I try to squeeze that back in, it's just not going to happen. It's been very, very thoroughly documented out there already. And I've confirmed it for myself that, yeah, it's just a mess up. It should not have been designed that specific way. The problem is right here, that inner corner right there that's kind of printed a little weird, it actually overlaps. In real life, these two clash and it pushes these pieces way out, which means when you start attaching parts behind this to make it all to get it all completely locked in place, those aren't going to be lined up right, and it's just kind of a mess. So yeah, yet another case of Lego letting something through their very significant internal review processes for set designs that really should not have gotten through. It's weird. It's not a game changer. It doesn't ruin the entire model. Obviously, I'm able to put the thing together and it works just fine for play and all, but they need to stick to their standards. They're important. Here are the minifigures. On the left is Doctor Strange himself. In the middle is America Chavez, who is new to the MCU. And on the right is a new version of Wong. Each of these figures looks really, really good to me. And as I touched on a little bit earlier on, I know that there are plenty of folks out there who focus on the minifigures and would be more interested in looking at a set or purchasing a set based on its minifig assortment, that's included. And this seems like a reasonably sized set to focus on for its minifigures, especially because the minifigs are so good. This does have the single piece molded, nice Cloak of Levitation there, which is fantastic. And all of the prints look really good for all of these figures, including a new print right here for America Chavez that does represent the pride flag. In particular, represents a pin that she carries around. It's not just a random rainbow here, though of course you can always use it as just a random rainbow if you so choose, but it's part of the identity of the entire character here. That print is done differently than normal, I noticed, though. There we go. Yeah, right there. You can see there's a certain texture to it. It's a different type of applied film. It's more similar to the way that they did the pre-applied stickers on the Super Mario series figures. It's a different process. It's not the usual pad printing. I think they did that in order to get more colors into such a small space. It's really interesting. Results, unfortunately, in colors that are not vibrant enough, especially that orange stripe right there is definitely too much like a nougat, just a regular nougat color like this over here. It should be more of a proper orange. But it's interesting that they're experimenting with more different processes, more different techniques for producing things now. And that's exciting to me personally, because just the fact that they are trying things, even if they don't always work out ideally, means that we may get some more interesting stuff in the future like we've never gotten before. But I do wish that the colors on that had turned out better. So better look at all of the faces on this side, and then you do get alternates for 2, no alternate for Wong, unfortunately. And then here are the few leftover pieces, which do fortunately include one of the new print, although again, the quality is not that great. And this one in particular is also slightly offset. You can see it's not centered there. Now I paid $30 US for this, 30, which doesn't feel terrible, but it doesn't feel great either for the amount of stuff. When you consider how much space this takes up, it makes sense. But then when you realize very quickly that much of the space that's taken up in terms of its footprint is just the thin tentacles, obviously. Yeah, you see, well, really what you're paying for is this and the 3 figures, so it's not as big as it seems at first glance. So that's why I say $30 feels like just a little bit too much for me. I wish that this was on sale a bit, but I'm pretty confident that it'll sell just fine regardless. Mostly to people just looking for those figures, because something at the $30 range, I think about 35 or so and below is cheap enough for it to feel completely reasonable for folks who really just want to go for the figures to buy it and not have to worry about how much that they're actually paying for that they're not interested in. But if you build this thing, even as a figure collector, like put it on string and hang it over your figure collections or something like that. So I think that this is going to have plenty broad appeal And just, hopefully it'll still be on the market once the movie actually comes out, so that as more people become interested in it, then they'll still be able to get it. We'll see how the whole supply chain thing pans out this year. Feels like it's going to be getting better, but we'll see. It's a shame about the little illegal technique there. Hopefully they won't make that mistake too frequently. But again, it's not a breaking problem. It's putting stress on the pieces, but ultimately you're able to put the thing together regardless. And yeah, they know by now. The designers are well aware of the mistake that was made. Let me know what you think about this overall and about its value. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again very soon.